Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Fahim, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks, and welcome to the Lightning Strike. I'm your host, Mohammed Fahim. We come every Sunday morning from 8 to 10 on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk radio station. Joining me on the team today are Mike Patino, Chris Hilbert, and Dr. Sheila White. And in the 9 o'clock hour, we'll be joined by Congresswoman Marie Newman. And also, we have got a very surprise guest joining us. And we'll let you know more about him in the 9 o'clock hour. He used to work for WGN till WGN was bought out by Star Media, and a lot of the on-air talent were let go. So Paul Lisnick will be joining us just to keep the mystery out of the introduction today. So, but I wanted to talk today, really, I wanted to focus on the continued distractions put out by Washington to keep us on edge. And while Americans were standing in grocery aisles, you know, trying to see if they can afford to buy meat or eggs or whatever, you know, even bread now, our president decided to go to China. And why did he go there? It was basically something to distract us again. You know, we are unable, folks, to buy eggs, gasoline, rent, and juggle bills like crazy now. And Washington is busy staging another international spectacle. So this time it was the president's trip to China. And I want to talk more about it as we go into the show today. So if you want to join the conversation, feel free. And again, the numbers to call in 773-763 9278, or you can call us at 773-774-8585. Remember, this is your show, and we would like to keep it like that so that you can be a part of it. So to continue the conversation now, the headlines promised breakthroughs before President Trump went on in a slew of sites and his Truth Unsocial. I don't know, that should be, you know, Lies Social, not Truth Social. So he promised historic deals, strategic victories, economic wins for American workers. We were told that this was going to reset the global balance, that China would finally bend, that America would return stronger, richer, respected. So who do you think the president took along with him? Any specialists in economic policy, any people who are good at negotiations? He took a bunch of his buddies, all billionaires. And what exactly did we get out of that? We got a banquet, we got a parade, we got a handshake, a lot of applause, you know, and a collection of vague promises with very little substance behind them. Even Chinese officials called many of the agreements preliminary, in quotes, and lacking specifics. This is always being done, guys, and Trump spoke about aircraft deals, agricultural exports, and a new era of cooperation. But analysts across the political spectrum have noted there were no major breakthroughs on trade, Taiwan, Iran, or tariffs. I'm waiting for a Lego video to drop now, Sheila. Okay. I'm just waiting for that. Okay. So the American people were sold another trailer for a movie that never arrived, folks. And while all this diplomatic theater was unfolding, inflation back home kept climbing. I took my small car, which is a Volkswagen. Uh, what was that Volkswagen model? I'm trying to remember the model of the car, but it's a small Volkswagen, okay? And it cost like $80 to fill that tank.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Americans return from work to bills they can no longer recognize. If you guys got your tax bill in the mail recently, just look at it. Your taxes have gone up again. Families are financing groceries on credit cards, folks. Young people cannot buy homes. Seniors are choosing between medication and food. But somehow, Washington always has money for war, foreign adventures, military deployments, summit spectacles, and global power games. Think about this for a moment. Oh, yeah, and before I forget, what about the Epstein files? Anyone heard about anything about them recently?
Yeah, what about those?
Okay.
What files? What files?
Yeah.
What files, right?
Files?
Yeah, but to come back to my rant, the cost of presidential travel, folks, security, logistics, military transport, intelligence coordination, diplomatic staff, media operations, and global delegation support runs into millions upon millions of tax dollars for every single trip. And before I forget, one of the people who accompanied the president was his personal assistant. Okay, the guy that gets him his morning coffee, I guess. But this guy, I'm not taking any names because I forget his name. It's not that important, his name. But he was the guy who was caught on camera moving the files in Mar-a-Lago into the bathroom over there. So this guy is with Trump on a trip to China. Now ask yourself a simple American question. What could we have done with that money here at home? Okay, the money that was spent on this trip. How many roads in Illinois could have been repaired? How many veterans could have received care faster?
Yeah.
How many schools could have upgraded outdated technology? How many struggling families could have received relief from crushing property taxes and rising food costs? Instead, both political parties continue writing blank checks for endless geopolitical chess games, while ordinary Americans like us become collateral damage in their own economy. And here is the bigger issue that nobody wants to confront. What exactly is the end game? We are told that America must confront China, fund wars overseas, defend every border except our own, subsidize foreign conflicts, and police the world indefinitely. Yet nobody explains how this ends. Nobody explains what victory looks like. Nobody explains why the Constitution increasingly feels optional whenever fear, war, or executive power enters the conversation. Congress complains on television and then quietly funds everything anyway. And I got a question here for Congress people, especially in the Democratic Party. Why are you guys keeping silent? Why are you keeping your mouth shut? What kind of skeletons are there in your closet that is making you kneel down in front of the Führer Trump?
Well said.
Republicans once preached, limited government, but they now defend massive executive authority when their side holds power. Democrats who once warned about authoritarian behavior suddenly rediscover restraint only when politically convenient. The Constitution has become less of a governing document, folks, and more of a prop brought out during campaign season. Meanwhile, the American worker watches the same cycle repeat, okay? It's rinse and repeat all over. Promises made, money spent, wars expanded, debt increased, prices rise. Nothing fundamentally changes. And perhaps that is the real strategy. Not victory, not resolution, not peace, just permanent crisis management. A nation constantly distracted by the next emergency while its middle class slowly disappears beneath inflation, debt, and exhaustion. China understands something Washington refuses to admit. Empires weaken when their leaders confuse spectacle with results. America does not need more stage photo opportunities abroad, okay? America needs leadership focused on the collapse happening quietly at home. Because the average American is no longer asking whether we are winning globally. They're asking whether we can survive locally. If you want to join the conversation, feel free to call in. The number to join us is 773-763-WCPT or 9278. This is the Lightning Strike. I'm your host, Mohammed Fahim, with my team this morning. We come every Sunday from 8 to 10, and you can go to our website, TLS for the Lightning Strike, tlsradio.com. Subscribe to the show so that we can keep this ad-free as much as possible. We don't take any corporate advertising, as you have seen. We will be looking to see if we can get some local businesses that can support us. Good morning, team. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Good morning. Wow. Talk about diplomatic theater. Very well said, Mohammed. To the point. I mean, you put the lightning strike right on the situation this morning. You know, are we talking lie social versus truth social? You know, all of this collateral damage. You just gave us a list of collateral damage this morning. It's amazing. So, you know, as we look at it, China did not budge. China did not budge. I mean, just lightly tiptoeing about Taiwan, lightly tiptoeing. What about the Iran conflict or the economic trade agreements? They did good by giving the diplomatic red carpet treatment to Donald Trump. They got into his head by doing all of that. But what was the win for America for going over there? That's my question this morning, guys. Where was the win? All of the things all of the money that was spent, everything that went into it, all of the talks, all of the lies social, I'll say it that way, before he went over there, and all of the people that went with him. What do we got from it? Are we better off by taking this trip, or are we worse off? I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, did it even have to happen at all? Because nothing was accomplished, but the diplomatic theater, that was accomplished. So if anyone's in for a great presentation, you got it. You got it.
Well, you know, Sheila, I have to, Mohammed, you struck a nerve with me. Chris and I have talked about this, the silence of the Dems. The silence of the Dems. I mean, to answer Sheila's question, why don't we know about it? Where are they? What are they saying? They never say anything. They just sit around. And a pet peeve for me is this new bill that's trying to counteract the Zionist bill that was put into law in 2015. And the Dems don't even want to talk about it. They don't want to have any problems with their state legislature. Let's put this on the back burner. We don't want to talk about it. This silence never ends with these people. And the people are fed up with it. And we need new leadership. We need new Democratic leadership. We need new Democratic Congress, because they're still staying quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Mike, here's the thing. I always look and see, why are they keeping quiet? Not a single Democratic congressperson, maybe with a couple of exceptions like AOC and others, okay, maybe Bernie Sanders, but he's more of an independent. None of them are opening their flap. I mean, what about our local congressperson? Okay, Raja Krishnamurthy, who ran for the Senate. Now he spent his ward like $29 million trying to get into the Senate. He has nothing to lose, right? So why is he keeping quiet now?
Yeah. Why? I'd
And
like to know.
that is a question that really bothers me. Unless these guys have got so many skeletons in their closet that they don't want tumbling out if they open their mouth.
And a lot of these people are afraid, I think, because the administration is coming after them and it's not publicized how many of them have received death threats. Their family has received death threats, not being able to run again. And there's a lot of the MAGA individuals that are just coming after them. So it's there. A lot of them are afraid to speak up. It's the silence of the Dems, right now. They don't want to speak about a lot of different things that's going on and happening. But people are wondering why. They're wondering where's the help? When are we going to get a break? A lot of Americans are suffering right now, and they're looking for answers, and they're looking for answers from their congressmen, and they're not speaking up, like you said.
Well,
There's
they're
no one
supposed
that's the backbone right now.
they are supposed to represent us, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And they have never represented the people. They have always represented the the sponsors or their donors. Marie Newman, our co-host in the second hour, has a nice Substack article that she had posted that as to what happens when you first go to Congress. I don't know if you guys got a chance to read that or not,
Yes.
but let me see if I can recollect some of the things that Marie said. So when a congressperson first gets elected, they go to Washington, and then they are invited by some of the donors, especially the APAC people, to have a quiet lunch or a dinner, and to get to know each other. Okay, there's nothing being pushed at that first meeting. Let's see if we can get to know each other, and then they get introduced, and after a few days they get called for another lunch or something, and quietly they are given a campaign contribution, in quotes. Okay, it could be a few $1,000s, or it could be more than a few $1,000s, substantial sum. So slowly these guys are pulled into with those hooks, and then a few days later, a few months later, there is another meeting, and they say, you know what, there is a bill coming up, Congressman, and here's the bill, and here is what we want you to do to support this or to oppose this. And if the congressman by that time, he has already taken a lot of money from these people, if they say no, or let me think about it, then the threats start. Well, I don't think that it's going to make our friends happy. You wouldn't want to have to face somebody in the next election, right? You don't want to be primaried. This is how the system is being done. And Marie, who is a congresswoman herself, former congresswoman, she has seen this from the inside out.
Yeah, I think the campaign cash from corporations, then the wealthy, or I should say the wealthy and the corporations they own, are one of the biggest problems that we have here in the United States when it comes to our politicians and those that get elected. They have way too much power, and there are a couple of states. I think Hawaii is getting ready to pass something that corporations cannot do any kind of donations. They're cutting off all sneaky ways of giving money to campaigns.
Yes, they have. It just got passed by the governor, and it's
okay.
It's an end around Citizens United.
Yeah,
because you can't overturn Citizens United, but you can do an end around and basically cut off the corporations from funding it. And something's coming up in Montana as well. So states are fighting back against this ridiculous program. And we'll see.
And also to mention, we need term limits. We need term limits. We need fresh ideas. We need people coming in that have a heart to serve and not just career politicians. And so that makes a difference as well. I think we had a comment from someone calling in as well, Muhammad, in our chat box, but we
Well,
need
thank you.
change. We
Thank you so
definitely
much
need
for
change.
monitoring that, because I get so involved in this discussion. Let's see if we can get Elliot from Palatine to come in. Dylan, could you bring in Elliot, please?
Because there's so much going on. People want change. I think that's the thing today. People want change. They want something happen. They want to know that our government cares, because we're moving so far away from the people, as you
Yep.
mentioned, Mohammed. We're moving away from that. So
Exactly.
Yeah. So Dylan,
yeah.
if you could please bring the caller in, we'd love to hear what the caller has to say.
Hey,
And
folks, I don't know if you can hear me. This is Elliot here.
hey, Elliot, good
Hi,
morning.
Elliot.
Thank you for
Hey,
listening.
Elliot.
Hey, good morning. What a thoughtful discussion and such a meaningful one. But I agree with Mohammed. I think the reason, though, that Democratic politicians aren't saying much is because they just don't have any power at this point. That doesn't negate the fact that they should speak up. But I also think that, one, the Democrats are going to win by default because the decisions of Donald Trump, who has shaped the Republican Party, unfortunately, this TV game show host, can you believe it, has taken over the party. And so if you just keep your mouth shut, it's, all of this stuff is playing out in real time. The gas prices, the food prices. He goes to China, and China basically tells him, you better not, mess with us when we invade Taiwan. Hold my jacket. It's embarrassing, really.
Yeah.
But so if we just keep our mouths shut, we're going to win this cycle.
Well,
The
Elliot,
issue is that the Democrat.
Elliot, if you had listened in last week, I spoke about it, that I don't think the Democratic Party should take it that easy, okay? Because people are getting tired. They're not even coming out to vote now because they say our vote doesn't count, right? So if the Democratic Party is just sitting on its behind and thinking that because of the war and because of Trump and because of all of these things happening, we're going to sweep the midterms, they may have a thought coming to them, man. That I think they're going to be very, very surprised. Because see, the Republicans have a game plan. Like I explained last week, even though the game plan sucks, they have a game plan. We don't.
Correct.
The Democrats still haven't made up their mind who they want to run for president. They're trying to, bring out Kamala Harris again. Can you believe it?
No.
No, that's not going to work. And what
Yeah.
I agree with you. You know what the Republicans' game plan is? Even though they're terrible ideas, it's reforms, right? We're gonna change things the way things have been. We're gonna change it. Democrats are trying to preserve the things that of our Constitution, but that's not gonna. The public's not gonna be not gonna relate to that. We have to come back to being the reform party. What reforms? And you guys
Absolutely.
hit it right on the head. It's got to be the money. We got to get there's no reason why billionaires, and I like Pritzker, but there's no reason why a billionaire should want to be in government. What a boring job. Why would a billionaire want to be there unless they want to make money, But I like Pritzker. I think he's got a good heart, but we have to get the money out of politics. It's ruining everything.
Well, that is something that we all hope and wish for. If Citizens United is where the whole thing started crumbling. But Elliot, thank you so much for listening in. Feel free to participate. This is your show. As you can see, we don't have any advertisers on this show. Okay, and we would like to get the public to support it. Please go to our website tlsradio.com. You can become a subscriber for as little as $10 a month to keep these conversations going. Thank you so much, Elliot. Let's go to Pat from Evanston. Pat, thank you for listening to us on the radio this morning. And what is on your mind?
Thank you for taking my call. I had asked whether or not we can find out whether our elected representatives, if there's a website that can tell how they voted, and if in fact that aligns with the money that they have taken. Now, I know regular people can't do that. It's really hard to because they have these HR 43, you don't know what the bills are. But Media Matters and places like that should do that so that the public is aware whether or not some of our Democratic brothers and sisters are on the take.
Okay, Pat, here's the, I think you bring up something good, okay? There is a website like that. And off the top of my head, I am not remembering the URL for that. But what I will do is I will see if we can put a link to that website from our website on tlsradio.com. Okay.
Oh, that's fabulous. Because
Yes.
I think then you can call your representative with that information and say, what are you doing and why are you doing and why are you not working for the people? But I want to say something else very quickly. I don't want to bash our Democratic brothers and sisters too much because that's all we got, okay? And I do not want to give the Republicans a leg up because we're bashing our own people. They don't bash. They just stand in line and do the, what do you call it, the jack walk? They just, are aligned no matter what.
That's true.
And I just want to say, we will support you. We just want to know what the heck you're doing. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, Pat, to come back to your thing about the website, here's what that website does, okay? It tracks every congressperson's record in Congress. So if you go there and you put in the name of the congressperson, it'll tell you how many bills they have sponsored, how many bills have pushed through with legislation, how many bills were approved. You would be surprised, Pat. I mean, I ran for Congress in 2019, so I really went into this with a fine-tooth comb as to what the heck is happening in our Congress.
Yeah.
Most of the time, these people who have been in Congress for, 5 terms, 10 terms, or whatever, I was the first one to sign a term limits petition when it was circulated and said, hey, I'm all for term limits. But they come back with the same bills with a different HR number on it. And this website also tracks it. They're using AI now to track what are the chances of that bill ever being signed into law. And you would be surprised that 90% of those bills that are submitted, they have less than a 5% chance of ever being signed into law. So,
this is ridiculous.
I'm going to put that that website up. So please go and check it out. In the next couple of days, we'll see if we can do that.
I think Chris put it up.
Thank you.
I think Chris put it up already. Chris,
did you
Just
put
in the-
but Chris has put
just in
up
the chat.
the opensecrets.org. Okay, that is for where the money flows. Chris, this is about the performance of our Congress people.
Right, and that's congress.gov.
Nope.
Nope.
No, it is something different. It is kind of like congress.gov. It'll come to me. I'll put it up next time on. But thank you so much, Pat, for calling in. Thank you so much for your input. It's not so much about bashing our own people. It is about putting them on notice that enough is enough. When are you going to perform your job that you were elected for? I mean, if I had a salesperson in my team or any other team member who is not performing, who comes in with promises every single meeting, every single month and says, hey, Mohammed, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then nothing happens. All they do is just give me, the fluff and no substance. How long would I keep them? And that is what we have to get into the head of our elected representatives, not just in Congress, across the board, from the local county boards to school boards to whatever, right?
Yeah, if they're
If
not
you
going to
don't
be held
perform,
if you don't perform, vote them out.
we're
Replace
going to
them.
let you go. We're going to let you go. How long can we afford to feed these people, man? How long? And then once they have a couple of rounds under their belt, they get a pension for the rest of their life and medical benefits and everything.
Yes.
What are we getting, folks?
If I can chime in here,
Please, Mark.
I really appreciate Pat. I really appreciate her wanting to dig into this because it's being deliberately hidden from you. The reason it's so hard to find out is because they never talk about it, number one. And then, you have to dig it up yourself. And then when you ask them, they might or might not lie to you about it. Like Congressman Brad Snyder, that guy lies like you wouldn't believe. And, it's amazing how these people continue this. And if more people dig up their record and call them on it, then we're not bashing the people that don't need to be bashed. We're bashing people that deserve to be bashed because they're lying to the people over and over and over. And we're sick and tired of it. We're tired of it.
And one of the things that we are doing, folks, starting in June, we already did a preview last Sunday. We are launching a new segment called District Watch. And Elliot, Pat, you're all welcome to be a part of District Watch. What we want to do is to bring in people who live in the different districts, who have been there, done that, who have run for office or not run for office, it doesn't matter, but who know what the situation is on the ground, who know what are the triggers, what are people facing, and is the elected representative of that district doing their job or not. If they're not performing, we want to know from you who are on the ground. So let that flow up to our democratic leadership and our, not just the democratic leadership, but for every party out there, as to this is what is happening. This is what is happening on the ground.
Right.
Because whenever election comes, folks, here's what happens. You get a bunch of these consultants come down, and these vultures, there's no better word than vulture for them, they do a couple of polls, or they do a few townhouses or whatever they are called, and then they say these are the issues that people are worried about. Okay, it is the economy, it is this, it is that, and then they come up with some talking points for the candidates. And that's what we hear in all these election cycles. Meanwhile, the consultant makes hundreds and thousands of dollars and quietly goes away, and the game continues. If you want to join the conversations, folks, the number to call in is 773-763-9278. And our call-in segment is sponsored by Ray Hanania. We call it What's on Your Mind? We want to know from the listeners. That way we can continue the conversation. So 773-763-9278. Or you can call in, I believe, 773-774-8585. Now, after the show, if you want to leave a message for us, if you want to communicate with us, please call in on our number 312. I think, let me look at it again. I keep forgetting our own number. Mike, you should be remembering these numbers, man.
Yeah, I should be covering your back, but I can't remember either.
So it's 312-857-8585 or 312-TLS for the lightning strike 8585. It is as simple as that. Okay. And we'll be happy.
I got to make up a sign for that.
Okay. Well, we'll be happy to put to play your audios on that. Just leave us a voice message, and we will be definitely playing that out on the radio for you guys. So
I'd like to mention, Mom, I'd like to mention something that Elliot said. Why are these billionaires in government at all? I mean, they have the world is their oyster. They could be doing anything. Yeah. They could be building more spaceships to go to the moon and explore it and build a utopia up there. So why take time to squash the little man that are just trying to make it? It doesn't make sense. I love that comment. He said, why are the billionaires even interested in being in government? It doesn't make sense. They have what they need. So It's their playground. So what's going on?
Well, I think I may have an idea about that, Sheila.
Mhm.
Okay, because that's where the rules are made. The rules of the
Ah,
game are made.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
and if they
I'm
So they
can,
can
really
get more
happy.
land.
If I can interject, I love Elliot's comments, especially coming from Palatine, my hometown, my backyard here. I love to see our people in Palatine, getting mad, getting angry, talking about what bothers them. Come to the lightning strike. The lightning strike is going to manifest itself into the voice of the people out there.
well,
Yeah.
that's thank you, Mike, for pointing that out. This is what we've been trying to do, folks, for 3 years now. Okay, we've been on the air, constantly bringing up issues to increase awareness.
Mm.
Most of the time now, our voter turnout sucks all over the country. We are lucky if we are getting 20-25% people to come out and vote. Why do you think that is happening, Chris?
because they really do not feel like they're represented by
Mhm.
local, state, and national Congress critters,
Yeah.
and Dems just keep falling for. I mean, they keep pushing the vote blue no matter who. Well, then we get people like Joe Lieberman. Remember him? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
he was a closet Reaganite. We get Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. They were way more Republican than Democrats. I mean, they
Mm.
voted against everything that they possibly could that had support from the Democrats. They didn't want anything for the people. And after a while, when you keep voting and you're doing what you're supposed to, and you don't get any relief like you've been promised, what's the point of voting? And in some ways, I think the Democratic Party, like the Republican Party, that's what they want. They don't want a whole lot of people voting because it's so much easier to win oh, with smaller numbers, and you can say, well, we don't have a majority. Well, yeah, because now everything is so closely tied. You have to work with the other side to get what you want, to get legislation passed to help the people. But they don't help the people. They only help the wealthy and the corporations. So we're the United States of corporations. We're not the United States of the people. We're the United States of corporations and the billionaires.
Yeah.
That's what we are.
For the corporations, of the corporations,
For the
For the
corporations
corporation.
of the corporations
by the corporations.
forevermore,
Democracy, corporate democracy is what they call it.
Oh,
I
talk
think
about open secrets, as Mike said. Talk about open secrets. What's happening behind the veil is what we really need to know what's going on.
yeah, behind the
Very
veil.
slow.
Behind the
Yep.
veil, yeah, somebody should get that and start really. Well, there are some people that are digging up. I've run across
Yeah.
quite a few people over the last couple of elections. Even here locally, one guy went through Tarrant County voting numbers to show what's happening here in Tarrant County, and how the Democrats did come out and in bigger numbers than Republicans since like 1996 or something like that.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
it's slow going, but the Democrats that are currently in power don't want to give up that power, whether it's statewide or nationally, and it's a hard road for so many people, and they don't have the time. See, they're working multiple jobs,
Yes.
or they're working really hard at a salary job, but they have to work overtime. They're working 10, 12, 14 hours a day. So they don't really
Right.
have the time to stay up to date on everything that's going on. But they do want to be a part of the solution. And they haven't come to the realization yet that, for the most part, mainstream media is corporate owned and is lying to them. You can't trust them.
Mhm.
You have to seek
Right.
out independent voices,
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Mohammed's voice, and there's this guy Chris Armitage that I like, and then there's
Mhm.
of course the nationwide guys, Aaron Matei, Richard Medhurst, I don't know, a whole slew of people I can't think of off the top of my head. But you know, they have perspectives, they have insights that we don't always see, and they don't. Not everybody has time to go read and listen or watch. And
See,
yeah,
one of the things that Mike reached out to me with a comment was, somebody had commented that a 2 hour show is too long for us to stay and listen to everything. Can this be cut up into smaller chunks? Yep, if you go to our YouTube channel, we will be posting some smaller chunks, folks. We'll be posting clips over there, okay? We've already got, I think, over 200 YouTube videos on our channel, and that is again at TLS Radio for the Lightning Strike Radio if you want to go to our YouTube channel. We are also posting on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and on SoundCloud. And Brendan has joined our team recently. Brendan is in the middle of changing his accommodation. He's a college kid. So after the graduation, Brendan just texted me saying, I'm so sorry I could not be on the radio on Sunday, but I'm in the process of moving out of my accommodation. Okay. But yeah, we will be putting more smaller clips for people to tune into on our Instagram and other pages also. It's a process, folks. We don't have a big war chest to have a number of people working on the show. All of us have got other jobs, and all of us are doing this as a public service. Okay.
Right.
yes.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot. It takes about 15 hours for me personally to prepare for every Sunday show and to go back and edit everything and put it up on YouTube and other channels.
Right.
There is a lot of things that we do that you don't see and that you don't hear. But again, the number to call in 773-763-WCPTD or 773-763-9278, and you can join the conversation. For those of us, our folks who are watching us on my channel on Facebook, we'll see if we can start to do this on our radio channel on Facebook. From the next week on, I'll see if we can manage to do that change for you also. But please go to our Facebook page, which again is facebook.com/TLS Radio, so that you can join the conversation. I think we've got over 500 subscribers now on Facebook.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So Facebook had a restriction there that you have to have X number of followers before you can go live on Facebook. So we have met that criteria now.
Cool.
Hey, Mohammed,
Congratulations.
Yes, Mike.
can I interject for a second? I wanted to expand. Do I have a second to expand on what Chris said?
Absolutely. You got more than a second. You got 2 seconds.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Okay,
You're
time
generous.
is up.
I always appreciate your
Mike,
generosity.
time is up. 2 seconds.
Okay, thank you. No,
Okay.
Chris and I have been working together since the Mid-Cities Democrats in Tarrant County, Texas, and one of the things I wanted to expand upon is people are made to feel like they're all alone, that they're by themselves, that there's nobody around who understands them. It doesn't, my vote doesn't count. But when you get people together, you get a bunch of progressives together, like we did with Mid-Cities Democrats State PAC in Texas. It's amazing what happens. I mean, we exploded onto the scene, and we changed out the Tarrant County Democratic Party chair. We had the first black female ever elected to that position. We had the first Latino elected, Ramon Romero, who was up there talking to our state representatives in Illinois just recently. And we had a monthly meeting where people could come together. They could feel safe. They could talk about what they wanted to talk about without being ridiculed or attacked. And it was also a 501c4, so we could use our dues money and our camaraderie and go out there and support our candidates not only with volunteers, but with money. And, put our money in the mix for a change. And up in north in Grays Lake area, I just met with a group of people that are furious about all the data centers that are coming in and exploiting their neighborhoods, right? Exploiting the water, exploiting electricity, and all done without their knowledge or permission. And so now they're gathering up their forces, and I'm working with, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be in contact with this young man, Chris, tomorrow, and we're going to discuss how to form a 501c4, how to create a state PAC. Those are the kind of vehicles you can use to really enhance the voice of the people and to make it stick.
Mike, the important thing that you said was right at the very end, the voice of the people. Okay.
Yes.
So we need people like we started the Illinois Muslims Political Action Committee over here, the impact that we have, okay? And we have a couple of other PACs that we started, but it is mostly people who have some money, who are very concerned about making a change, who show up for the meetings. The general person, the common Joe on the street, is not bothered to come in, even to attend a meeting, to listen to what is happening. Somehow, when you had the No Kings protest, for example, millions of people came out because that was something that they could immediately relate to, that we don't want Donald Trump to be revered as the king in our country. Maybe something like that will bring out people's passion. And maybe we don't have to have a 501c4 for that also. I'm glad that you're doing that, in the North. But maybe we can just have a monthly meeting, on behalf of the Lightning Strike, not a fundraiser, just a monthly meeting in person to where people can come in and vent.
Yeah.
And then
That'd be a great idea. I think there's quite a few people that are looking to the Lightning Strike now as a voice of the people and a place where people can empower themselves and different ideas. Like you said, a monthly meeting would be great. I push the state PAC idea because it's a vehicle within the system that it's kind of like a sneak attack on the system. They don't know where.
No, I'm
they
glad
don't know
you're
it's
thinking.
coming.
You're thinking along those lines. But I mean, you're giving me some good ideas this morning, Mike.
Good.
Yeah.
So maybe, like I said, somewhere in central Chicago, like let's say Lombard, for example, okay, which is easy access for most people from all parts of the greater Chicagoland. We can have like a 2-hour meeting on not on a Sunday, but maybe a Thursday evening, for example. Okay, a couple of hours. We just have some snacks and stuff, and no fundraiser, but have people come in and talk who don't want to be on the radio, but who are feeling the pinch over here. I mean, gas now, folks, regular gas all over town is over $5 a gallon. I mean, just think about it. And we were promised by this buffoon in the White House that, once you get elected, you're going to have cheaper groceries, cheaper gas, less than $2, blah, 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 blah. And when you mention this, they all come back and say, oh, yeah, but gas was expensive during Biden's time also. Who the heck cares about Biden's time anymore? That time is gone, folks. You can't go back and revisit every time. Oh, Biden did this, Biden did that, Obama did that. What the heck are you doing? You are the people, you are the party in power right now. And for all the Republicans and all the people, the MAGAs who got shafted, I'm not going to use the S word on radio, okay, the other S word. I mean, what are you guys doing? Why are you not stepping up and challenging the status quo.
Mhm.
Okay, our Congress, the terms need to be revisited. 2 years. By the time you get to see where the bathroom is in Washington and get to know the code, your 2 years are over.
Yeah.
Okay, so Congress should be at least 4 years. I mean, if we can have Senate for 6 years, why not Congress for 4 years? 2 4-year terms, and that should be enough for anyone to do their public service. It was
True.
never designed.
But
It was never designed, guys, to be a full-time career.
Right.
Mhm.
oh, never.
And then people come back and they say, "Oh no, but the institutional knowledge would be lost." What institutional knowledge? The only thing that would be lost is the lobbyist access to these people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
And folks, on the lightning strike over here, we say it as it is. Okay, so we are not going to mince any words over here. Our country has been bought lock, stock, and barrel by foreign lobbyists. And it is not just APAC. There are a number of others. Look at our president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. This guy starts a company, Affinity Partners. Okay? And the Saudi prince puts in $2 billion or $6 billion or something to get this thing started. I'm changing the thoughts a little bit over here. And now, when there is a war happening where our people have already lost their life and their money in that war, our country is going to hell in a handbasket. Jared Kushner is going in to negotiate for an end to the war, while his buddy, the Saudi prince, is telling him, "Please don't. The war has to continue. I'm going to give you a few more $1 billion to your thing." And then the UAE guys, all of these countries which have no, how do I put it, no depth to them.
Right.
These are all formed after the Second World War, right?
Right.
These are man-made constructs. These are not civilizations. The Iranians have a 5,000-year-old civilization, folks. And they are a country. And who goes to sit and negotiate with them? Marco Rubio, Vance, and this buffoon Kushner. They go to negotiate with people who are PhDs in political science.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it. These guys are going transactional. Those guys are coming in with policy. And then Netanyahu, our good friend, who has so much empathy for Americans. Every single day he gets up thinking, "Man, what should I do to support America?" Do you think he does that?
Mm.
No. Um, hey, Mohammed, I'd like to bring this back home on what you said earlier about the billions of dollars that we're spending on this war, right?
Okay, Mike, 1 second. We are just getting up on the top of the hour. So CPT might be taking a top of the hour break to go to the NBC news at the top of the hour. But we can continue the conversation because this is going live on Facebook also. Please continue.
I was thinking about what you said, and these clowns going over there perpetuating this $2 billion a day war. We're getting close to being able to fund Medicare for all 3 times over now, right? These people in this country that are dying because of the lack of health care. And we have this crisis going on in our country that every time you turn around, they're distracting us with something. Either it's the war or it's even the Epstein files is a distraction as far as I'm concerned. These people should all be in jail, but they're not, and they just keep dragging this out. Meanwhile, people have no health care. Bernie Sanders and Jayapal keep floating this bill over and over. It gets no traction from the the garbage in Congress we have in there that we have to get rid of these Congress people. And
Well, Mike, I think it's Congress, and Mark just texted me also to bring out the Supreme Court. Why do we have
Yes.
lifetime appointments for the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Lifetime? I mean, come on.
well,
We
it's
need
the
to have
system.
term limits for the Supreme Court also.
You hear
Exactly.
over and over from our people out there that the system's failed. You know, the
Yep,
system is failed, and we have to
the
reconstruct
Constitution,
it.
Mike, the Constitution is a document that was designed by our founders to have amendments,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So when we
Yes.
can have X number of amendments so far, why not think about doing some more amendments to the Constitution?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we have to educate the voters, so they can educate their own Congress people and state representatives. I mean, we just had a lobbyist on our side, uh, Andrew Herrera, who was telling us all about this bill that he's working on, and hardly any people out there even know what a witness slip is. All right.
Mm.
You have to understand the system that we're working within to change the system we're working within. And sometimes you have to use it to our advantage because you can't change it. So these people that are against us and against the will of the people, they know how to work that system and they're working it. So
Yeah.
just in a state level, to fight this bill, to reverse the AIPAC Zionist bill, the anti-BDS bill, it's going to take a lot of work because I'm getting this funny feeling that the state legislature still doesn't want to talk about it because they're nervous about it. Okay,
Yeah. Oh.
because
Well
what
said.
it'll do is it'll expose all these state reps before the election.
Mm.
Same thing Congress does. That's why, force the vote didn't work, and now at least they're having votes so we know where these Congress people stand.
And that is the important thing, folks. And this is what we try to do at least once a week, is to bring out these issues, okay? So that it is our country, man. It is our country. When we travel overseas, when I pull out my passport, it says citizen of the United States of America. It does not say Republican or Democrat or Green Party or whatever, right? We're all
Right.
Americans first. Let us start thinking along those lines. That this is our country. It is supposed to be the best country in the world, and we are letting it go down the tubes right in front of our eyes.
Right.
Yeah. Well said.
We're always hearing about communist China. Communist China. Communists are bad. Okay, communists may be bad, but their policies are good for their citizens at this moment.
Mhm.
China has got 45,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. How much do we have? China, I was just listening to something yesterday. China has 60% home ownership.
Wow.
Wow.
How much do we have?
Mm.
Communist country, okay, they don't have any rights, we are told. Yeah, but they got something in return which we are not getting over here. Our infrastructure is crumbling, folks. You go out there every summer, what do we see? Half of Chicago is blocked off for pothole repairs.
Mm.
That's right.
I mean, why can't we have roads that don't need to be repaired so often? When we build something, why don't we build it to stay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have that in Texas. They have the winter, and then they have construction season.
All over the country, right? So something obviously is wrong. Why don't we have the material science engineers who know how to design something for our seasons and our weather?
Yeah, well, again, it comes back to the those in charge are being paid with corporate campaign cash. And so they are told that they have to, go with the most reasonable and cheapest solution. Well, yeah, that's reasonable and cheaper for right now, but not if you have to do it over a period of 10 or 15 years. It's actually the more expensive option.
Right.
But all they care about, just like corporate America, right? They only care about the next quarter's numbers. And they're running the state governments and the local governments and the federal governments the same way. Let's just look about the next 4 months, the next 6 months. And this is the cheapest way to go. It doesn't matter that in 3 years you have to redo it. My sister lives over in freaking Carrollton, been there 25 years. They have replaced the same cement section of road 6 times. I swear it's been 6 times in 25 years.
Wow.
So every 3 years they tear it up and then it takes 2 years for them to fix it. It's just like annoying. Okay, maybe it's not actually 6.
That's because Uncle Billy's cement factory donates to the congressman's campaign.
Right, and they use the cheapest cement. That's my whole point, And so sometimes the cheapest option for right now is not the best option long term. Look at how often are you going to have to replace it? That's the thing. Right. And one more thing, Mike brought up, getting Congress to vote and whatnot, and forcing the vote. The thing about forcing the vote that so many people don't get, and this is a pet peeve of mine, so excuse my little rant here.
Go ahead.
Force the vote gives you an idea of who to vote out, who to not re-elect.
Absolutely.
That is the point. That is the whole point of force the vote. Who can we vote out so we can get what we need? Not what we want, but what we need as citizens. We need so much here, and we're not getting it. And forcing the vote and making people, Congress critters, put themselves on the line. That's how we can get some change going. So I'm all in favor of forcing the vote on every little single thing. No more, we don't have the votes. Well, let's see who you don't have the vote. We'll vote their little butts right out the door, and we'll make change one way or another.
Right on. Go get her, sister.
That's right. Great campaign, Chris. Great campaign.
I vote for Chris Elbert.
I love the term Congress critters. Okay.
I know. I first heard that like 30 years ago, and I'm like, yeah, I love the Congress critters.
Okay.
There's no other good name for them.
Yeah, we got Maria also just joined the conversation. Maria, if you want to chime in, feel free.
Morning, Maria.
Good morning. Oh, I loved waking up to a rant.
We're all ranting.
We are alive, awake, and ready, clearly.
And we had a couple of great callers today, Maria. Elliot was there and Pat was calling in. A lot of people are getting concerned about this. And one of the ideas that Mike brought out is to have a monthly in-person get-together. No fundraiser, no nothing, but just us getting together with like-minded people to talk about these things in person, not just on a Sunday morning on the radio.
Right. Like a lightning strike town hall meeting or something.
Ooh, yay.
So yeah, I mean, we might go ahead and start doing that once we get our act together with our fundraisers for the show, and also for the District Watch segment that we are going to be starting from next month. Marie has joined us. Good morning, Marie.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Gorgeous day. Oh my gosh, what a spectacular day.
Yes.
It is, and I finally found a place in the office which has windows on both sides, so I don't have to have any lights at all.
Love it.
Okay. So all my soft lights are sitting in the closet now. I don't have to use any lights, and I think the light from the windows is perfect for doing something on this. But folks, remember that this is a radio show. This is not an audio show, okay? I mean, this is not a video show, sorry. It's more an audio. And please go back to our website, tlsradio.com. Support the show. We want to keep this show ad-free as much as possible. We might take a little bit of local advertising, but no corporate packs, no corporate advertising. Murray, what's on your mind this morning?
Oh gosh, what a interesting week. I will say it wasn't as wild this week. I feel like it wasn't as like, oh my God, the earth is, breaking in two. But I will say that the ongoing steady stream of corruption has been nothing short of impressive, because now what's happening is it's getting embedded into our everyday lives, and it's being normalized so much to the degree that, like, mainstream media, to your point a moment ago, Mohammed, is that, mainstream media isn't really bringing out the outrage that it should be from the ongoing everyday corruption. I'll talk for just a minute. By the way, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Ignore at Your Risk. I'm Marie Newman. And today we have a couple of treats. One is we have the legendary Paul Lisnek from WGN TV and radio fame. He's now doing a bunch of cool independent media projects. We'll have him on in just a few moments. But before Paul joins us, I do want to share a little bit of my personal outrage, but also we should all be outraged at this. So I'll backtrack a little bit and talk about what's happened with Trump this week and his latest grift, because it is. Let's be clear. So President Trump is poised to drop a $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS in exchange for a settlement that establishes a $1.776 billion compensation fund of sorts. He's calling it, and this always amuses me, what he calls the Truth and Justice Commission. So what might that be? This is a fund that would pay out claims to individuals who allege that they were wrongfully targeted by a previous administration, and potentially including the January 6th defendants. So when he says potentially, when he uses that word, he means yes, it is. So let's be clear. So what are the terms of this grift and the scope? So the fund is almost $1.8 billion, and it would have total authority to compensate allies, entities associated with Donald Trump himself, and others harmed by government and weaponization of government. So other lawsuits, there's in addition to this $10 billion IRS leak lawsuit Trump put forth, he's expected to drop another $230 million in civil claims related to the Mar-a-Lago search and seizure investigations into the Russian collusion. And then there's audits, of course. The settlement options under review also include a stipulation for the IRS to drop any audits. In other words, not only is he immune on his professional side from all legality, he's also immune from audits. That's insane, folks. That is insane. The IRS should not have any predisposition or predilection for any individual person or any group or any entity that they may wish to audit. They should just simply audit if they feel it's necessary. That's insane. So the legal issues and challenges and conflicts are many, right? Judicial scrutiny, let's start with that. Because the president now oversees the Department of Justice, and usually it's independent, but it's not. He's now replicated that model with the IRS. And the lawsuit faces significant hurdles, certainly. And the appointed judge could question even if the proceedings should go forward. However, a lot of judges were appointed by Trump and Republicans, so we'll see.
Well, we got Dr. Lisnek joined in the conversation for the last couple of minutes, and I would like to bring him in. Thank you so much for chiming in, Paul.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show with us.
Well, so good to have you, Paul. Thanks for coming on, and good to see you. It's been a minute since I've seen you.
It has been, but it's been a restful little time for me, so that's been okay too.
Well, you do look fabulous, by the way. You look like you just got back from a beachy. Yeah. So Well, good morning, everyone, again. And this is Paul Lisnick. Most of you know his voice and face very well. He was with WGN, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, almost 2 decades,
Yeah.
both TV and radio. And it was famous for his Sunday morning talk show on politics, and has always just been known as a great political commentator. He's also an attorney, and now he has a new project out called Curtain Call, and is doing a lot of independent media. So, Paul, welcome.
It's good to see you. And of course, Maria, as you know, I like to think of myself as an analyst, not a commentator, because I try and present both sides to all the issues that we're going to talk about. And so, yeah, while what happened at WGN was a surprise for all of us that it happened to, at the same time, I think you'll see me back. There's some phone calls, some conversations and things going on. But from the political side, from the curtain call side, I love theater. It's been a passion. Even WGN Plus allowed me to do that. So now for all of our friends here, if you go to YouTube and subscribe to Curtain Call Chicago, it's a different side of me. It's the theater side. It's a lot of fun.
I love that. I love that you're doing that, and I love that you're still and you did a little book work too, right? You highlighted some books. You had a book feature on your show on WGN too, right?
Yeah, well, I've written 15 of them, but the last couple have been fiction. So Assume Guilt and Assume Treason are my plays in the world of political fiction. Assume Guilt had to do with political corruption in Illinois. It's fiction. And it involved when I finished the book, I gave a copy to Pritzker, and I said, listen, this involves a murder that may or may not have been committed by the governor. I said, but I promise you, I finished this just before you took office. And he said, oh, it's about Blagojevich. I thought it was a great line. He was kidding. He was kidding. And then Assume Treason, which is like about a Trump-like presidential election.
Well, I mean, we'll look for those. Awesome. Well, let's get right into it. So, let's talk about independent media and the writ large, right, Paul? That in the nation we've had just an explosion. Substack has facilitated that. I know that you're there. I'm there. Mohammed's there. Many of us are there. But really big, universal names like Jim Acosta and Joy Reid, Katie Fang, and the like are all on Substack. And then many people have been on YouTube, folks like our friends at TYT Media and Graystack and Zateo's on Substack, and they've all kind of exploded. And even here in Chicago, you remember when Block Club was this tiny little thing that we were like, oh, that's so cute. And now it's big. So from your perspective, you have a lot of experience in media writ large, but also nationally and locally. Share your thoughts on the explosion of independent media, its importance.
I think, Marie, the reason it is exploding, as you say, first of all, it's become an easy place for a lot of people to go. And so, I mean, if you think about it, everybody that wants to express their views and opinions and may be very good at it, not everybody can have a TV show. Not everybody is going to get a radio slot. So that's one reason it's happening. But I think perhaps a more important reason may be that today media has become so polarized in terms of you turn on a channel and you just know whether you're watching the right, the left. And so what Substack and these other venues have allowed are for people to basically say, you know what, we want to, the word is independent, right? An independent voice, so that, I may be on one side or the other for certain issues, but not on others. I mean, even on WGN, it was a requirement for me as an analyst that I've always present both sides of political issues. However, certainly on my Friday nights, I would do a week in review. And whenever something legal came up, in which it was and my background includes, I'm a former law school dean, a former law professor. I've taught the bar review course for 20 years. I teach constitutional law. So I know a constitutional violation when I see one. And so the bottom line is I would often say on the air, where I am to be neutral, I'd say, okay, now viewers, because I know that meant a lot of Trump supporters in the audience, I'm taking my political hat analyst off and I'm putting on my legal hat. And for me, that allowed me to be more clear about what did or did not go against constitutional provisions. But the bottom line to your question is, I think it allows a lot of people more access and also a better opportunity to be not seen as necessarily partisan one way or the other, if that's what they choose to be.
Well, and we appreciated you for that. And sadly, and I'll just remind folks that we have very few of those in the Chicago market. But honestly, there are full markets, including New York and LA, that don't even have one person that is fully neutral and operating on both sides and analyzing, as Paul shared. That's a really important point. So I just want to be clear on that, but also so important that we do have that nationally. And right now, there's really not an entity that does that. So when we lose WGN to more right-leaning, and I know they'll still do a good job with the news. I'm not criticizing WGN, but they definitely have a right tilt now. So we are where we are. So now let's turn to your analytical brain. I can't wait to dig in on this. We just had a big set of congressional races, kind of an unusual number of open seats, right, Paul? And then we had some interest in Illinois 4, right? As we always do. So I'd love for you to share just your thoughts on you got to sit back and watch it a bit unfold. What were your thoughts on the major races in the congressional races? We'll get to the Senate in a minute, but I'd really like your take on Congress.
Yeah, it was very frustrating not to be on the air. As you might guess, there were some calls that came in from places to say, "Can you join us?" And I was not able to do that contractually. But that being said, you have to, if we want to look at just the Illinois congressional bloc as a group, I mean, because you can talk about, Daniel Biss beating, the individual races, but generally, were there any surprises? I actually thought Jesse Jr. might do better than he did because of his name for a whole host of reasons. My goodness, his father had just passed away, which triggered so much of emotional connection in the city to his dad. So that was a bit of a surprise. But as a group, it looks like we are sending a bit more progressive group to Washington. And that's a message about what it is, where the country is now and what is needed. I mean, it's no surprise, say, oh, by the way, Illinois is likely, because remember, it's not November yet. We like to go, whoever wins the primary wins the national. And I'm sure that's likely the case, but we're not there. But for folks who would say, looks like Illinois is going to send a pretty progressive group to Washington. Well, hello, that's what Illinois tends to do, except for the couple of regions or a couple of districts in Illinois, which remain for now Republican. And, it looks like Illinois does not have a taste for wanting to get into the into the redistricting game. Although we'll see how all of that goes. So my reaction is that I think Illinois shifts a little bit more in the progressive wing for what will happen in Washington. The real question is, will it matter? Well, that's going to matter whether Democrats take over in November. And while, for a while I would have said no, and then for the longest while I would have said yes, this redistricting thing still should not be enough to let the Republicans maintain the House. I mean, when all is said and done, it looks like they may very well net, maybe, I'm going to take it to the end, maybe as many as 10 seats over Democrats. That could be the number. However, in this kind of midterm with these kind of volatile politics, you should see a shift or a growth in Democrats of 20, 30 or more seats. But the question is, will that play out? There's surprises all the time in this system.
Oh my gosh, indeed. And yeah, I agree with you. I think it's somewhere between 7 and 10 that nets them. That still allows.
Well, that's why I went right to the extreme and said, let's just say they get the 10. Yeah, what happens?
I think you're right, though. I mean, and anything can happen, right? And then just remember in that equation, it may be that Texas has set up a backfiring system, right? Where some of these highly diluted, formerly Republican districts have become or formerly Democratic districts have become purple, and now it's so diluted that it could go the Democrats' way. So it will be fascinating to see. So Illinois 4, we had some very Illinois activity, right? where my former colleague Chuy Garcia did the right thing. His family needed him. He was adopting his grandchild and his health hasn't been perfect. And he made a good decision, like, look, I'm going to retire. But he did it a little bit late in the game, an hour before petitions were due.
That was the 100%. I got to tell you, Marie, that was, look, I've known Chuy a long time, as you have, and probably many people here have. Good guy, good heart and all of that. And I agree. And I said it on the air. He could not have had better reasons for saying it's time to step down.
Oh my God, yeah.
But like everything else, it's the way it's done. And when you do it at that 11th hour where only one person is geared up to file their petitions. And by the way, and I believe this to be true, I don't want to say this 100%, but I believe that Chewy's name was the first on the petitions to go in for Patty Garcia. At least that's what I've read. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry about that, but I think that's the case. So the point is, how do you not step back and say, this is a plan? This is what you're going to do. So every right to step down, but and of course the answer from Patty and others have been, well, anybody could have challenged him. Yeah, but good Democrats don't. And so there was nobody who was going to challenge him unless he left early. Then you would have seen, look what happened with Jan Schakowsky. Jan announces early on, I'm stepping down, and in come the waves. If Jan had done the same thing in District 9, I mean, do you really think that Biss and all these other people were going to be ready to go? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, it was unusual circumstances. And, two things can be true at once, that it was the right thing to do for him and his family. And then secondly, but it also left us in a non-competitive primary, which is never a good thing for anybody, really. So moving along. So Illinois politics, we've got some interesting activities going on. Have you been following the anti-BDS law? That's just to be clear for our viewers before I ask the question of Paul. So there was a law put in place in, I think it was somewhere between 2011 and 2015, where it kind of took free speech away from some of our businesses. And so at the end of the day, it was rethought. A lot of people thought, maybe it's time to not have that open up free speech and ability to boycott or not boycott any company you may wish, particularly when it comes to our pensions. And so that has had some fits and starts. So have you been tracking that one very much, Paul?
I mean, understand the issue, not tracking where it is right now. So if it's someplace that's moved recently, let me know.
Yeah, no, it looks like this time it may not get repealed, but it's moving along a little faster than it has in the past, which is great. And we hope that it does get more hearings. It did have some hearings at the various levels inside the legislature, but didn't quite. And it has. I don't think we've had a vote on it yet, but it looks like maybe there's some additional obstacles in the way. So let's all watch that, because it does bring free speech back to everybody and ability to boycott folks that you wish to. So. So tell us a little bit about your new projects.
The Curtain Call Chicago would be the new project.
Yeah.
And in terms of the theater world, what's going on in the political world is too early to talk about it. I have to tell you that what happened at GN happened on a Monday. And at Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., the phone started. And that was not, I remember looking, going, it's my first day. Why is my phone ringing at 7 a.m.? But it started, and it essentially did not stop between texts and messages for a solid week with just over hundreds, thousands of it, and viewers, of course, and all of that was wonderful. But the bottom line is, I think, and I don't want to yet talk about that final situation. There's still some things to be resolved in that. But the bottom line is that, there's a great love and support that this community has, and especially for the people who are on. I mean, I think a lot of those names shocked a lot of people. I'll say one, Dean Richards, who'd been around for 35 years, and Julian Cruz, and just some of those names. It's like, what are you doing? Where's this coming from? But, I wasn't a part of those decisions. So I was a part of those decisions, but I wasn't a part of making those decisions. So the new projects, I won't lie, I'm just kind of, I've been laying low for a while.
Good for you.
Partly by necessity. I have to. There are contractual restrictions that didn't allow me to do things until today. This is actually, Marie, my first moment of sort of stepping out from the hinterlands to speak to anybody. So I'm still being a little cautious, I think, in what I say, although I have the freedom to be with you.
Yeah, and also do you, right? Do it the way you want to do it, and I
absolutely will once final checks clear.
Yeah. Godspeed, right? Well, we hope those checks clear beautifully.
Let's be honest.
Okay.
We are all looking forward to seeing you in other places and faces, and we'll all look at Curtain Call on YouTube, right? And
Curtain Call Chicago, because I think there's other things called Curtain Call. So it is Curtain Call Chicago. But I talked to the artistic directors of Steppenwolf, and what does it take to get onto the Steppenwolf stage? That kind of things. My style. So when I do, with all due respect to people who cover entertainment, when I have my 30 minutes with somebody from a show, it's not usually what's your show about. We usually kind of go a little bit deeper and get some surprising answers. And so that's my goal on the show. I was interviewing the Scarecrow from The Wiz, and at one point I asked a question, and he said, "Oh, you want to take the Scarecrow deep?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." So it's really about going deep into, sometimes they are political issues. They are issues about, because, when these shows get written, whatever they are, they often have politics behind them. And the current show, by the way, it's Steppenwolf, called Windfall, which is incredible. Have any of you seen it, out of curiosity? By raise of hand. So it's a Chicago story about a man whose son is killed by the cops. And will he take the check? Will he take the compensation check that city council is willing to give him? Now, that at a surface level is what it's about. That's not what it's about. It's much, much deeper than that. That's the kind of thing I try and do on the show. So in that way, it's playing with politics and law, but in a different, deeper, and I think more interesting way. Been good reactions to the show.
Well, great. Curtain Call Chicago on YouTube, and I'm sure in other spaces. So just Google
There's
it.
a website, curtaincallchicago.com. And for any of you that do this, I do have advice. Involve your dog in any Instagram videos or anything that you do. If I do an Instagram video, I'll get 150 views. I hold my dog and it's 1,500.
I know. Always. My beagle Iggy is like quite a star. Yeah, he really is. So we'll thank you so much for coming on, Paul. And will you come back sometime?
I will. I'm free to do so. So I will absolutely look forward to do it. And in
anytime
a little
you
more
want,
time, I'll be a little more free in what I say too.
All right. Take care and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Anytime you want, please feel free to come back. And thank you for all your contributions on WGN. I always used to listen to you. And,
thank you so much.
You have been one of my teachers, let me put it that way, as to learn as to what is happening in politics, and especially in our, in Chicago.
Well, I appreciate that. I love this city, and as I said, I think I'll pop up somewhere else soon enough. And,
feel
see
free
where
to
we go.
pop up on the Lightning Strike anytime you want. Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Sunday.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, folks. That was Dr. Paul Lisnik, formerly from WGN, and now he's got his own gig going on. Murray, thank you so much for bringing
Yes,
Paul
thank you.
in. It's such a pleasure to listen to him. It's 9:32. We've got Maria Muzaffar sitting constantly in our sidelines over here now. Maria, breaking the echo chamber. What are we looking at today? Which echo chamber are we going to break?
Well, good morning, everybody. First, I'd like to say with Dr. Paul Lisnik, the merging of his two realms is happening right now because we have a lot of good theater. So, so he's at the sweet spot for the next chapter for his career. I wanted to first say that what's happening in the country now, there's so many different ways to break it apart, to break the echo chamber. I wanted to start off with the question that Marie brought up with the anti-BDS law. So for people that don't know, just for a refresher, there is a limitation on what you can boycott and who you can boycott. And so there is a movement to repeal such a law. And I think that with the hearing that happened in Springfield, there were testimony of individuals that had lost family members and had suffered so much pain in Gaza. And they were bringing up their experiences and saying that people should be allowed to take political dissent and have a position and be able to speak about what they want to support or not support with their tax dollars in whatever form. And it's very interesting because I think that testimony framed it in a very Israel versus Palestine frame. And that's how we're discussing it. And I think what Marie actually, the way she asked the question, I want to expound on that because this is what's very important for every American to think about with this specific bill, is that this is a constitutional issue. It's not an issue on what the conflict is. It's an issue on free speech and the right to dissent. Yeah. And it's not even a right to dissent if you are speaking up against an ally of the United States government, of our government, of our nation. It's dissent in general. And so it sets a precedent. And I think that what we also need to recognize is the way that it's drafted says that you cannot boycott against someone's national origin. But I think I would flip the script on that a bit and saying that to not repeal something like this, actually you take the right away of descent from somebody from a certain national origin. And so when you see it from that perspective, we have to recognize that when we talk about these issues, they are very much politicized for the people that want to keep things the way that they are for a specific reason, that it is just about a one specific conflict in a certain region. No, we have to look at it from a larger narrative about constitutional protections. And so that's what I wanted to share. So if anyone who doesn't know about the anti-BDS law, please take a look at it, because our nation really, really, celebrates boycotts. We look at South Africa, we look at Mandela, and we consider Mandela a hero, a global hero. So I think we need to really think about what precedent we're setting when we control who gets a dissent and who does not. The other thing I wanted to speak about is birthright citizenship, because, the judges are coming together, Supreme Court judges, to really lay down a decision, and we are probably looking at June. And I want to go back to the fact that, again, birthright citizenship and what the purpose and the intent is. And I want to break the echo chamber on that. So,
okay, Maria, just a couple of quick seconds. I wanted to interject in here. Michelle Senator, our person of the week, has also joined us. Michelle, welcome to the Lightning Strike.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Okay, we'll come back to Michelle after Maria finishes her segment on breaking the echo chamber. Please continue, Maria.
Yes, welcome, Michelle. So with birthright citizenship, I go back to this all the time of how we can break this echo chamber, because it's always pushed as an argument that we are trying to protect our system of how you become a citizen based on looking at national security. And then I go back to this notion that we have think about the theme of demographic change. So as the Supreme Court judges look at what's going to be decided and how they're going to lay on this in June, I want you to think about the people that actually have their eye on making sure that the United States looks a certain way, sounds a certain way, feels a certain way. And I would say that when you're talking about using birthright citizenship to limit individuals and control demographic change, you actually don't look at the identity of our nation based on its values. You actually look at it based on population. And that is something we cannot perpetuate, because a value, I feel, is what defines the nation. So if it's freedom of speech, if it's constitutional protections of freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, the Establishment Clause, these are the values of our nation. And so all of our effort as Americans should be to create executive orders and policies that advance those values. They should not advance a people or limit a people. And so I just want to think about that as we wait for the decision for birthright citizenship, and think about the people that are trying to curtail it, if they're concerned in the values of the nation, or if they're concerned in the demographic of what the nation looks like. Now, I don't know if any of you saw that there was a huge anti-Sharia caucus. Did you see that, Mohammed? I don't know if anyone saw.
Yeah. We spoke about that a couple of months back.
Yes,
the anti-Sharia caucus. Okay.
Well, the caucus came together, but they had an anti-Sharia hearing these past few days. And the anti-Sharia hearing was to show and prove and provide testimony that Islam and Muslims are not compatible with the United States and the Constitution. And there were a lot of legislators that came up and gave testimony that really understood what this hearing was actually about, which was smokes and mirrors. The economy and the agenda is not doing well. The statistics for showing if Trump is very well favored is not doing well. And this was a great distraction. So I want us to look at all three of these things together, right? The anti-BDS law, the Sharia hearing, and the birthright citizenship, and look at it from the perspective of these movements and these hearings and these policies are actually designed to make sure that the demographic does not change in this country without any evidence that it's harming the country. But creating false narratives, it definitely does. But all three of these issues that I talk about should be looked at from a lens of the constitutional perspective. And I think if we do that, we will get away from what individuals that are trying to divide us. We will get right to the facts of the legal issues in the matter. And I think that's what this is all about. Lastly, I wanted to talk about what we expect from the talks in China. So I don't know if you touched on this, but we're going to see this again and again. We're going to see the fact that as soon as we have any conversations with a foreign nation, there's going to be different parts of the administration, the executive, the judicial, and the congressional, specifically pushed from the Republicans in this moment, to be able to create narratives of the nation and the people within that community and the United States. Now, I don't know if you saw this, but there's a town called Arcadia in California, and the mayor of Arcadia just admitted and pled guilty of being a foreign agent for the Chinese government.
For the Chinese government.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. The reason why I bring this up is that I can assume, and I think many of you can assume, that this was in the works for a while, that this was actually a known entity for a while. But it was very convenient for it to come out at this time. And now within California and within Arcadia, where the Chinese population, and Mandarin is a very strong language there, but the Chinese population is the majority population there. We're going to see examples of this, and then that's going to be used to create narratives about the Chinese American population. So I say all of this is, let's be careful, folks. Let's remind ourselves, and I remind myself and everybody else too, that this nation is built on values, and individuals from different demographics have given their lives, from different countries have given their lives for these values, have built foundations for the nation for these values, blood, sweat, and tears to build communities for their values, not to be swept away when those values become uncomfortable, when people don't like what the country looks like. So you take the benefits, but you feel very uncomfortable in who's providing those benefits. And that is the diverse, multicultural population of this country. And I think we have to honor that and recognize that every time we see an executive order that's countering that, guised under the fact that they're trying to keep us safe. So that's the echo today.
Awesome, Maria. Thank you so much. I mean, great presentation, great thoughts. Yep. We need to be very cognizant of the fact that there are forces out there which are trying to divide us to hold on to power. I mean, coming from a country like India, I'm very, very much aware of the divide and rule policies that the British had in India, for example, right? So been there, done that, and let's go back to Dr. Sheila White to introduce her guest. Good morning, Sheila.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited. A lot what Maria said was really important. As America approaches its 250th birthday, it's a moment of celebration and reflection. And we know that Memorial Day is coming up. People have died to have the freedoms that we experience in this country. So I'm really excited to have our person of the week, Michelle Senatori, who is with the West Suburban Foundation for Disabled Veterans. And she's here to talk about a very important event that's going to be taking place. So I'd like to welcome Michelle to the Lightning Strike this morning. Welcome, Michelle.
Well, good morning. Welcome. Thank you for having me. This is fantastic.
You know, Michelle, I would like for you to talk a little bit about some of the things that your organization is doing to help veterans, first of all, and then we'll get into the big event that's going to be taking place at Cantigny Park.
Well, can I just chime in 1 second regarding Paul?
Sure.
I was listening to Paul. Yeah. You all may not know the topic that we're going to be talking about is Gary Sinise. And Gary Sinise is one of the co-founders of the very theater that Paul was talking about, Steppenwolf. So I would encourage Paul perhaps to reach out to Gary at some point to follow up with his mission that he's working on for Steppenwolf. So I just wanted to throw that in there in case you all didn't know.
So tell us a little bit about the organization, WSFDV, and some of the great things that you all are doing to help veterans.
Well, thank you. So, West Suburban Foundation for Disabled Veterans, we were founded about 20 years ago. Our mission is to provide housing and other living needs to our disabled veterans and their families. But just to clarify, disabled doesn't necessarily mean like the soldier that we founded who was paralyzed from the neck down. Disabled would be the category that anybody that has that rating through the VA. So that rating right now, as you all are hearing about, often has to do with invisible wounds and the PTSD that you may not see versus a person in a wheelchair or that sort of thing. So that word disabled does encompass any rating that the VA has given them as a disability. Yes.
Michelle,
let's talk a little.
before we go further with you, I mean, there's a thought that I just wanted to share with you. Please send an email to me. Okay, TLS. What is our email, Sheila?
TLS Radio Chicago. The lightning
That's our
strike.
website. But
Yeah.
I wanted to send you something, a program that I had arranged for veterans who are returning back to get them into employment.
Oh,
And
very good.
yeah, when I was the director of the workforce agency in Arlington Heights, this was a 2-week program for veterans that was extensively covered by the media also at that time, and a very successful program. So I'd like to share that with you.
I would
Yes.
love to talk to you about that, and let me explain why. Many of the calls that I get trauma calls. You hear oftentimes about the number of 22 veterans every day taking their own life.
Yep.
And I get these calls, and I will tell you this one gentleman in particular, he had the best radio voice ever. And I said, you need to be on the radio. And he says, well, I've been told that. And these veterans, they are so talented, and I would look forward to that conversation. Thank you
Yeah,
very
I
much
had
for your help with that.
17 veterans in the program for a 2-week course. 1 week I spent with them in the office, teaching them how to translate their MOS into civilian speak. And the next week, took them out visiting with local employers. 14 of them got productive employment within 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so I just want to share that with you. Sheila has my contact information, and I think she can
Yes.
share it with you. Sheila, please go ahead. Sorry, I mean, I had
Thank
to
you.
bring that part out.
That's very important. So let's talk a little bit, Michelle, about the event that's coming up July 11th this year at Cantigny Park. Tell us about that. Gary Sinise is going to be a part of that as well.
Yes, so we are hosting what we're coining the WSFTV Rocking for Our Vets America 250 concert with Gary Sinise and Lieutenant Dan Band. They are the headliner band. We also have Hunter Girl, who's a sensation within her own right, and she has been helping veterans as well. But Gary, as you know, he is so busy his own self, primarily doing concerts on military bases. In fact, the
Yeah.
day before our concert, he'll be on a military base. The day after our concert, he'll be on a military base. We are literally Gary Sinise's only public ticketed concert in the whole United States. So it is a real privilege to have him back at Cantigny Park. He is really looking forward to rocking for our vets together. He is a native person from Illinois, so it is near and dear to his heart to be back here to Illinois with his family and friends. But we are so excited that Cantigny has partnered with us, and the Gary Sinise Foundation has partnered with us, and we are allowed to have 10,000 tickets sold for this event. So it is the largest event in DuPage County, probably the whole state of Illinois, where there will be that many people together celebrating our veterans, celebrating America 250, and of course, Gary Sinise for everything that he does. But as you were saying from the beginning, Sheila, if it wasn't for our veterans, our country would not exist. Today, it'll be our 250th birthday, and because the United States military, we are here with all of our freedoms, including from our first president, George Washington, who fought for our country, who prayed for our country, under the Christian, values of our country. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal for us to have him here. It really is. So we're really honored by this, by Gary coming. We are so honored. And then to be partnered with the McCormick Foundation, we're honored with that as well. They do tremendous work for many, many years and continue to support our veterans and our Chicago community, underserved, education, Cantini Park. It's just a phenomenal partnership. So we're looking forward to it. And then when we found out that we really were the only public ticketed concert, our community foundation, we decided that we're going to highlight 25 other community charities that support veterans in all the social categories, from housing to food to pets to suicide to music to having fun, just every category. So we're highlighting 25 charities, but at the end of the day, the event itself is a true mental health day. These veterans are just going to come out with their friends and our communities and have camaraderie and just enjoy each other for a day of wonderful music and celebration. So it's going to be great.
And Michelle, where can people get more information or get tickets to this event or sponsor a vet, for this particular event?
So it's just the acronym for West Suburban Foundation for Disabled Veterans, WSFDV.org. And the cool thing is that we also have available where you can purchase a ticket we call Treat a Vet. So it doesn't matter where you are in the country or you're in the world. If you want a veteran to have a good time, you can purchase that ticket. They're only $50. It pays for the parking, the shuttle, the concert, and the First Division Museum that's opened. And then we also, just a couple weeks ago, added purchase a ticket for a vet and a friend. So they can bring a friend. And so it really is nice. There's a lot of people purchasing tickets to also have the veteran and a friend come too. So it's going to be neat. It's going to be neat.
And that'll be July 11th at Cantigny Park in Wheaton, Illinois, rocking for our vets, Muhammad. So it's going to be a great time, a patriotic night that will change lives for our vets. So thank you so much,
Michelle. We can continue to spread the word for you, Michelle. We have had a couple of vets on the program in the last couple of months now. We wanted to talk about the human cost of war and what the veterans and their families had to go through. And the testimony from the veterans was so heart-touching. Yeah. It was coming straight from
what we always say is, anybody that signs the dotted line for military, it's a family business. So as soon as your loved one is in the line of action, they're signing that dotted line to let their life be lost for all of us that are on this screen right now, for all colors, for all walks of life, for all nationalities, for all religions, all those freedoms that we have, these men and women, they are on the lines right now as we're speaking. There's probably somebody right now taking their own life as a consequence of combat. We've had more lives lost in suicide than the lives lost in Iraq and Afghanistan. So we still call them veterans. And those families, they're called White Star families. So every time you look at that flag now, and you look at those bright white stars, let that be a symbol of the men and women that are veterans that have served our country, that have taken their life because of the stresses that come with it. So we also applaud these spouses and families because it is a family business for the rest of their lives for these men and women that serve for us. It's pretty powerful as you're learning these different stories, right?
Yep.
Which I'm so thankful that you're letting them share the stories because like in my dad's generation, they didn't share stories. This generation now, they are sharing more of their stories, which is actually helping the Vietnam veterans share some of their stories. So the work that you're doing is impactful in such a positive way by letting them actually just talk about it and share. So thank you for doing that.
You're welcome, Michelle. So folks, Michelle Sanatori and Sheila, you were going to talk about a birthday coming up on the 19th. Whose birthday is that?
Yes, my goodness. On the 19th of May, there's one of the individuals that's having a birthday, and in honor of Malcolm X's 100th birthday, he was an African-American revolutionary and Black nationalist leader who came from a background of poverty, yet he rose to a prominent figure in the United States during the Civil Rights time, the Civil Rights Movement. And he was assassinated, as you all know, in 1965. But he was a vocal a person for, Black empowerment and the African-American community. And he was a celebrated figure for African Americans, Black Americans, and Muslims for worldwide in his worldwide pursuit of racial justice. So I think today we're still trying to fight for racial justice in a lot of places around the world, and it's for everyone. It's for everyone. So I think we should all try to rally to help really join together and work together to make it United States of America, not divided States of America. So just wanted to bring that up.
And I also wanted to finish off the segment today, the show today. We got 5 minutes to go, and we started off by talking about Trump's visit to China and his post on Lie Social. I'm not going to call it Truth Social. The guy lies every time he opens his mouth. So I got a new moniker for his social media platform. It should be Lie Social, okay, not Truth Social. Just imagine, folks, the amount of money that was spent on that one trip, what we could have done locally in the country with that kind of money. And he takes a bunch of corporate goons with him, trying to make a deal with China, comes back with nothing, okay, not even a vague promise from China. Sheer waste of taxpayer dollars and our time. Marie, we got 3 minutes to finish off. Any final thoughts today from you and Maria and Chris? If you can keep it to 30 seconds, we'll finish off the show on a strong point.
So quick, and not completely counterintuitive to what you're saying, the trip in and of itself was a good idea. In fact, I felt like Biden should have gone to China during his term. But the content of the trip and then his incredibly incompetent skills and then putting a bunch of corporate people around him was not a great idea. While it's very important to keep international commerce going and we all have to talk to one another and all the good things, the way in which the expectations were set is that, hey, you give me this, I'll give you that, which isn't true in any negotiation. But the premise of it was to create goodwill across the country so there is better and more fair commerce, and that was not accomplished. In fact, he brought away nothing, right? A couple of the companies that went there got some good goodies, but he got nothing. So that was unfortunate.
For all the money that was spent, this could have been a Zoom phone call with Xi.
You know what? Honestly, like the money spent was probably decent. We shouldn't be spending 60 million or 60 billion with a B on this war. That's the real issue. The trip I have no issue with, really.
Absolutely, that goes without saying. Maria, final words?
Yes, I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Michelle. I think, specifically people don't realize some of these veterans start off as really young kids, and these young kids go in places that they're not prepared for, and they come back. And so I think you celebrating the veterans, no matter what side of the issue any American stands on whether we should have a war or not, I think that understanding that these are human beings that are doing their job, that are doing what they need to do from their capacity, I think is beautiful, because I think it really, really reminds people that people have the ability to change policies and limit war, and that's the job of Congress and the job of elected officials. But soldiers are there to defend, and they are supposed to do what they do. And so I think taking away the politics of what they've signed up to do is important. It creates a human narrative. So thank you for that. And the last thing I wanted to say about Malcolm X is Dr. Sheila White. Malcolm X absolutely is a beloved individual in the United States and the world and the Muslim American community. And I just wanted to share a little bit of his example that's so powerful, is that when he went to prison is when he literally got liberated in his mind. And it just, that part and that portion of his story and his life of rebuilding his identity, that there's so many gems, people behind bars that are incarcerated, that have difficult lives. But they just need one person to say, you are so much more than this. And so he believed that. in his conversations in prison. It opened his mind. He connected to God, and then he came out and he evolved even further. If you remember, he first was with Nation of Islam, and then he went to mainstream Islam, and he believed that all humans are equal and all races are equal and nobody is higher than the other. That is difficult to do when you're going through these different phases in these communities. But what it tells you is that truth tellers are truth tellers no matter what, and they find a way to tell the truth. Find
Maria, we
allies.
are at the end of our hour. It's 10 o'clock. Folks, thank you so much for listening, and thank you all for participating today. Please go to our website, tlsradio.com, and subscribe and support the show to keep this thing going. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.